Okay guys, welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and of course hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Discord channel for Elevating Trades, linked in the description below. You can also find it at the top of the chat. You can discuss with other traders, talk about different setups. I share some of my ideas there as well. If you're looking to join a community, go check it out. Free to join. Links in the description to that. But as always guys, we'll go through the USD side of things first, talk about what's happening with the dollar, any opportunities of course, USD majors, DXY, gold and silver. We'll go through some indices as well. Any particular markets you're looking at, let me know. Drop it in the chat, of course. Any time frames, let me know, and we shall discuss, see what's happening. What is up? Welcome to the stream. Augie, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. John, what's up? Good morning. Hope you're well. What's up, Ahmed? Welcome to the stream. Hope you guys are doing good. So first things first, we have the dollar. What's up, Kazim? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Have a wonderful day to you as well. But yeah, we on to the dollar. So dollar was very weak yesterday, which did knock me off my euro position. USD was very weak. We did not hold onto support here, which was basically my plan for the week, to see if price can hold onto support and potentially see some strength. We're looking pretty weak at the moment. Now, I'm not necessarily looking to short the dollar. I do expect eventually the dollar to be very weak longer term. I do think price can still see a lot more downside in the near future. However, it's not really at an appropriate place for me to short. This is still bullish territory. This is still our last swing low, which gave us the swing to the upside, creating new highs. If I just map out the structure, you can see how price has been shaping up. So as we do approach this low here at 99.5, this is still an area where potentially buyers could be looking to enter the market, and we could see potentially a bit of a rally. Now, I'm not as confident that we will see a swing all the way back to the highs as I was yesterday, as price was still respecting solid support. I was expecting price to bounce from there and see some upside, potentially back to the high. Now that that level has broken, I'm no longer as confident, expecting to see this swing. We may still have a bounce, but I would worry that we do come back into resistance or supply on the lower time frames, and potentially see price continue to sell off in that longer term bearish trend, potentially heading back to the lows, into the lows at 97 or is that 98? Yeah, 98. So, with the dollar, I do think we're still in a nice place for a bounce. We could still see somewhat of a reaction, but the bigger move, which I expect to be bearish, may be underway. So I'm no longer expecting that big drive to the upside for the dollar. It could still happen because, like I said, we're still respecting structure, but no longer as confident in that move taking place. Still do expect to see some buyers enter and a bit of a reaction, but I would be skeptical around 100.4. We may put another lower high in. Price might be looking to continue some bearish structure and continue to fall. So that's kind of my outlook now for euro. I have for DXY, although euro would be very similar, which we'll get to shortly. Again, I spoke about this area as a really nice area for potentially some selling opportunities for the dollar. If price would be kind enough to pull back to that level, that would be a great place for a short, especially for a longer term swing trade. Because if you can find a nice entry there, you can probably sit in that position for a while, especially if you are going to go back to the lows there. So ideally, that would be the area which I'd like the dollar to get to. But again, as a trader, you got to be adaptive. You got to be able to react to what the market is providing you. And it looks like this is a bit more likely at this moment in time. So yeah, dollar looking pretty bearish. If you're looking to short it, probably want to see some upside back to 100.4, 100.5 for potentially another lower high. One over there, second, potentially might see a third. Euro pretty much the exact opposite, because price did clear resistance, which was the level I was shorting from yesterday. Again, pretty much identical to the same level we mapped out on the dollar. Looking for price to bounce from this area. We did see a slight reaction, but price never really saw that follow through. Then we later went and broke through the level. Again, like I said, we haven't really broke through structure yet, so This is still our last swing high, which gave us this swing low, which does not necessarily mean that we're bullish now. But again, I wouldn't necessarily be expecting price to have this swing anymore. Now for Euro USD, as we have broken structure pretty well, we've left behind some support, which again, similar to the dollar, I wouldn't be surprised if we were to pull back, use that as support to potentially continue back to highs. Longer term, this is still my expectation for Euro, back to 1.156. So I'm still expecting Euro to eventually get there. I was looking for another swing to the downside before that was going to happen, but it looks like Euro is just far too bullish to see that one last bearish leg I was looking for. Looks like we're just seeing that strength with Euro USD at the minute. But again, we're coming into an area of supply, and this is the area which started this bearish move. So I don't really want to be buying into this, especially with a swing outlook. If you're going to enter like on the hourly or the 4-hour chart, I don't think that's the most appropriate place to be looking to enter some buys. But should we pull back, potentially try and find the higher low, I think this is a much better place for a buy. At least you can lock in some gains back into resistance. And if price does break out, we're looking at a really, really big move there for Euro back to the highs there and potentially further as well. So yeah, Euro looking pretty bullish to me. Now that we've cleared resistance, technically speaking, we could still potentially sell off because we're still coming back into that area of supply. But like I said, the probability of we're seeing that move is a lot slimmer now. We've taken out this this trend line here as well. So in my book, I do think Euro can see some upside. And in terms of an opportunity to buy it, I would wait for something like this or a break and retest of this. That would be something that could be interesting as well. But I like that setup a lot more. Similar to the dollar, just flipped. Pound USD, very, very bullish as well. We did see price continue to the upside and smash into the highs here at 1.345. Now, what's the next step for pound? Because it is respecting that level. In fairness, we did see a pretty nice wick through that level. Price pull back and close nicely bearish. So we are having a tough time trying to break resistance, and you would expect us to. If we do look to the left, we are coming into a very big level of resistance here. So, it's going to take a lot of energy for us to go and break through that level. But do I want to be selling from here? No, not really. I do expect the bigger move for USD to be bearish for the dollar itself. So long term, I do think pound can break through this. So I more so want to be a buyer of pound USD, but not at the current price, coming into major resistance, especially when I'm already seeing trouble. When I'm already seeing price have trouble trying to break through the level, doesn't make too much sense for me to be buying pound USD. So really, I don't really see a clear-cut setup for pound, to be honest, unless we were to push back to lows here. That would be a more appropriate place for a buy, maybe a big double bottom. Well, a long way away from that forming, so I'm not going to speak too much upon that. From an intraday perspective, I wouldn't mind some buys here. Maybe a nice double bottom could look good. But again, we got resistance just above our head. So that's the key reason why I don't like the buys for pound USD. Although Euro looks a lot more, looks a lot cleaner because not necessarily coming into a big level of resistance. So there's a lot more room for us to trade into. Pound USD, like I said, I'm not really looking to sell it, but not really looking to buy either. It's just very an awkward place. I think a much better opportunity, especially intraday as well, is if price can actually break through the resistance on the daily chart, then give us some type of pullback. That could be a nice swing for a couple days potentially. So pound USD, still do expect more upside. We are currently respecting key resistance, so watch out for that. But if we can see price go and clear that level, I do like the opportunity for some pullbacks, a retest of 1.344, let's say, and then some continuations from then on afterwards, because I do still expect USD to be weak. Dollar CAD's coming to an interesting area. Looks like price has cleared support here, just about. There are still some levels below us where potentially price might look to bounce from. But again, judging the DXY and what the DXY is doing, I'm not very confident that we're going to see strength, or at least a lot of strength. Like I said, for the dollar, since we didn't respect this area here, which is the level I was looking for that USD strength to come in yesterday, because we violated that level, I think the bigger move now will be to the downside. So if that is the case, then it's going to be very difficult for dollar CAD to rally. Unless CAD's going to be insanely weak for whatever reason, it's going to be very difficult for dollar CAD to rally. So I've got a feeling that maybe dollar CAD might be on its way to the downside now, back to lows. Now, is there a good opportunity to short it? Not really. This is not really the appropriate place where you want to be looking to sell dollar CAD. If anything, you want to see a bit of a push to the upside, back into resistance. There we can plot some trades from there. More appropriate places for some entries and some stop losses, and of course increase your risk reward as well if you're looking for the big swing. So dollar CAD, not really respecting support. There is a level support down here as well, which we could react from. That could be a nice trade, maybe just for reaction. I wouldn't look for a massive continuation anymore. I think that looks not likely at this moment in time, unless maybe some major news comes in for dollar. I don't see it happening. So with USD CAD, I do think price is going to probably make its way back to lows. So in terms of finding a good trade for that, at the moment, something like that would look good. Maybe possibly a retest, of the level here could look good, but I'd wait for a much larger breakout first, then some pullbacks to short. At this moment in time, 1.4 retest of that zone would be the best. Aussie dollar, just sideways movement. Not a lot to get from Aussie dollar, to be honest, with the current price action. I've talked a lot about this ascending channel. It's slow, corrective. I'm very bullish on Aussie dollar. I do think the bigger move is to the upside with this one, but I'm just finding it very, very difficult to find some clear-cut opportunities to trade it. And I've talked about this area here. If price could be kind enough to get back to 0.625 or in and around that area, I'll be more than happy to try and find another higher low to buy it back up again. But I'm not too sure we get there, especially if USD is going to be weak. That could just keep pushing Aussie to the upside potentially. I mean, we're very corrective, very fatigued, so I still do expect that move. But if USD is weak, it's just going to be difficult for us to see that, especially if Aussie gains some strength as well. Maybe we just break to the upside with some momentum. But the key thing I'm trying to get home is that I'm not really seeing much of an opportunity inside of the range / ascending channel we're trading in. So I'm really just staying away from price action until things clear up, until we see some momentum to the downside. I can find some longs, or we break to the upside, maybe break some structure as well with it. Maybe something like that could be interesting for a trade. But in that current area, I'm not seeing much at all. As the USD looks a little bit cleaner. I've talked about some buys if we could approach support again. I would like the look of that. We've got some key resistance just below us, which will be turned support. Again, prior resistance there. There's the breakout. Now looking for the retest for continuation. So very bullish on the ends of the USD as well. If we could see a push lower, that'd be great. Take out some of those weaker lows to our left there. Potentially see a reaction off that. I think that would be a great place for a buy for ends of the USD, and naturally targets back to the high, and potentially further as well. So still very much bullish on ends of the USD. Very nice impulse to the upside. Just looking at this as somewhat of a correction, bull flag, if you will. Bull flag pattern. So there's your impulse, there's your correction. Now expecting the continuation to the upside. So very, very bullish on ends of the USD. This I can actually see a decent setup. Just need to see if price can actually get there. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But looking for more upside, and I do think price is likely to push back to highs there at 0.60200. And then, of course, gold. Last time I checked, gold was looking pretty bullish. Yes, it is. So I think there's some nice buys now for gold, actually, because we're seeing some intent now. We're seeing some momentum. We've got these higher lows here, 1, 2, 3. I've spoken about the larger descending channel for gold. We had these lower highs and these lower lows. Of course, we had the retest, the prior resistance to our left here, which held up pretty well. Price had a nice rally through that. So now we've left behind some really decent structure on the lower time frames. If I drop to the hourly chart, I think that's a very nice place for a buy. If we can pull back, respect that area, potentially try and find the next higher low in this sequence, I think that's a great place for a buy. And then, looking around that upper channel area for targets, because there is that possibility we do form a lower high and come back down again, because gold is still bullish. It's still in an uptrend as a whole, but we are seeing some red flags. The fact that we didn't create a higher high with this move is a sign that potentially the bulls are weakening. Maybe we might go for a bigger retracement soon. So I would be wary at the top end of that channel. But if the trend is going to continue, possibly this might be a big bull flag for gold, and possibly we break out with some momentum, with some violence there. So there is that possibility for gold to really rip to the upside if it really does want to. So that's why I like the buys here. Still following the trend. You know, it's still the best way to kind of look to approach gold. And then maybe there might be some shorts here if we start to struggle. Maybe we see signs of a low high forming. Maybe there might be a sell on the way back down. But for now, this is the setup that makes the most sense. And at least looking for a push into the upper channel around 33.60. Silver, last time I checked, was looking remotely bullish as well. I wonder, are we kind of breaking out of this kind of triangular pattern here with this support area and the lower highs from that trend line? Is price breaking out? It looks as if that's the case. There is some resistance just above our heads, which I suppose might be causing a little bit of friction. But let's say if silver can break through that, then yeah, I would say we've got a breakout on our hands, and possibly some retests on the lower time frames could look good. And that, if that's the case, then I'll look for silver to approach resistance here again at 34.5. So yeah, silver's looking a bit better now. We're seeing some momentum. It's been very, very sluggish inside that range. I haven't really been interested to trade it. I wanted silver to actually drop lower so I can pick it up at some better prices. But it looks like some strength has been injected into the market, and we're looking pretty bullish now. So if we can clear that resistance at 33.21, I think that would be a great place to be looking for a retest of on the flip side and take some buys. And again, I do expect silver long term to go through these highs here and a lot further. Possibly this might be a big kind of consolidation for us to see that move maybe. So I just haven't found a good setup to trade silver, so I haven't really been focusing on it much. But looks like some momentum is entering the chart. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD at the moment. Looks like the weakness has really come into play now, so being a bit more skeptical on buys for dollar for now. Philip, good morning. I am doing good. Hope you're well. Clickbait, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Go for the yen pairs as well. Thank you very much. No problem. I really like GJ setup and also Aussie yen. I just hopped into an Aussie yen trade actually. Well, I hopped into it yesterday. But yeah, I am pretty bullish on the yen pairs. I do think there's still strength for the yen pairs. I think there's still weakness for the yen itself as well. So I'm looking for some upside across the board for them. I said Aussie yen and New Zealand yen were my preferred yen pairs to trade this week. Aussie yen did shape up for me, so I'll go through that shortly, but I'll go through GJ as well. Antonio, good morning. Hope you're well. Price just created a 4-hour higher low on the DXY with the 4-hour fractal lows still intact on optimal short and optimal short will form the gap between 100.5 as long as the 4-hour fractal is good. Be careful with the DXY. I told you a few months ago the dollar weakens under Republican president's law. Yeah, we have seen that. The DXY hit to 88 in Trump's first term. Will we look to go and hit 88 again? That'll be a hell of a move. But yeah, it does look like the DXY is weakening and potentially we're seeing the continuation of that. I do agree. I just had a look at the DXY and it looks like that 100.4, 100.5 looks like a nice area for a potential short actually. We're seeing some bearish structure now. Lovely drop there, bit of a consolidation, another drop there as well. It has left behind some price support, which will be turning resistance, kind of coming into an area of supply there as well. Possibly that might give us the continuation. I feel like this is an area which we did see a lot of buyers enter the market, so we did see a pretty big rally. So I wouldn't be looking to sell at current price. I wouldn't be looking to buy either for the dollar, since we have broken through support there. That has definitely put me off looking to long USD at this moment in time. So yeah, if we could see a nice healthy correction somewhat back into 100.5, I think that is a smart place to be looking to short the dollar, maybe buy euro or buy pound, or whichever USD pair looks more appropriate at the time. I think that's a nice place to potentially anticipate some weakness for USD coming in. And who knows, maybe we get that big swing back to the lows here at 98 as well. So there is some meat on the bone for this move, because it could really give us a big sell. Because if we are going to continue that big bearish drop from early in the year, we might go in, create new lows there. So I do agree from that kind of bearish perspective there for the dollar. In terms of the yen pairs, though, I'll go for the yen pairs first. What's up, Ivan? Good morning. Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. Poppy, enter my first trade. Bought euro pound at 0.842. Okay, we'll have a look see at that. I'm somewhat bullish on euro pound as well, so I like the idea. Annie, what's up? Hope you're well. Can you please look at natural gas on the 4-hour chart and give your opinion for the next 2-3 days? Okay. I will take a look, Annie, no problem. Let's go through some yen pairs first. Take a look at euro pound, and I'll go through natural gas. So in terms of Aussie yen, so I did hop into a long position for this one. So far, price has basically been moving sideways on me. But I did enter this trade at 6 p.m. UK time yesterday. And then, pretty much since that, it's just been sideways in a bit of drawdown at the moment. But the key thing is that we're still holding on to support to our left. So with Aussie yen, I said there's a couple kind of opportunities I'm looking at. Either the double bottom here, which is why I entered, or potentially price does come and test support just underneath us, which lines up very well with this level here. We broke through. Since we have recovered, I've been looking to see if price can retest to potentially continue in somewhat of a weird inverse head and shoulder pattern. So that was, still is a level I'll look at. If this area doesn't work out, then I'll look to see if I can get another entry, take it back up again. But so far, I did see a really nice rejection, strong 4-hour candle close there. And basically, I'm just anticipating another higher low here for Aussie yen. We've been very consistent with, all these higher lows along the way. And pretty much I'm looking to see if I can participate in another one to take this back to resistance. Risk reward looks pretty good. About a 1 to 4 with this one, a little bit more than a 1 to 4. So I'm happy with the risk reward. I do think potentially you could see a breakout of that. But I'll definitely secure at least the bulk of my profits at the high there. So we're going to see how this position goes. But I think Aussie yen's in a really nice place. We're seeing price respect support pretty well. I like the wicks to the downside there. What happened there? I think the computer froze for a second. But we're back. Aussie yen, I think, is in a really nice location, respecting support very, very well. A lot of wicks to the downside, really implying that bears are trying to push price lower, but failing at that, and support is holding pretty well. So if you can see some momentum kick in, that could be a really nice boost to the trade. And then if we are going to see this trend continue, well, you would expect us to push back into resistance. So I'm liking the opportunity. Risk reward looks pretty good, and I'm still expecting weakness on the yen basket as well. Which essentially means I'm expecting a push down for the yen. So if the yen is going to be weak, then that should help Aussie yen, pound yen, euro yen, all the other yen pairs drive higher. I'm looking at the market structure here on the 4-hour chart. You can see we've got equal highs over here. Then we formed a lower high. Then we formed another one. Then we formed another one. And again, essentially, I'm looking for another one here as well. You can see how corrective price is moving. I like this. It means that we're slowing down, finding it hard at these prices. So I do expect us to now drop to the downside and return back to support here. And potentially further as well if you do break the low. But this here is kind of prime area for a short. I talked about this area here as well, kind of like a nice area of supply where we consolidated, then had a very aggressive drop. Price is just about tapped into that as well, which is definitely adding confidence to the position. And I do think logically a lower high could form here. And I especially like how price is moving. So the yen looks primed up for a move down. I wouldn't say it looks ready just yet. We probably still need some momentum there. But it's in a prime place, and I like how price is moving at that particular area. It does it does give me the impression that we're likely to see a push down. So if the yen does drop, that should give Aussie yen a push higher. Should also help with pound yen as well. Pound yen, again, pretty much consolidation, to be honest. But I have to say I like what we're seeing as well, because basically support is holding there. I'm basically looking at this area of demand to our left. We had price kind of have a brief pause over here. Then we saw some continuation. This is pretty much the area which I'm anticipating potentially pound to push up. If not, then we might see a push into this area, which is the low of this move. That could also provide potentially the swing to the upside. The reason why I'm so bullish on pound yen is because we did just about clear highs here, which does make me bullish for the market structure. So as we do pull back, especially within this bullish structure here, and the fact that we are still very corrective and very slow on the way down, it does make me expect a continuation. So I think the key thing for pound yen is that we are still quite flat here. So we still need to see that injection of momentum to really make a statement now, okay, a low is forming and price is going to push on, because we're still seeing very small candles, not really seeing much momentum. So we kind of need that injection to really get price going. If not, we might kind of roll over again and go and test support around 191.5 before we do see that rally. But in terms of the bigger move, I'm still expecting more upside back to resistance at 196. So that's very much still my target for pound yen. And we're trading in some nice areas. So if you're looking for a trade for this one, I probably would wait for like a strong bullish engulfing for my entry. You might be able to enter a bit earlier than that, but by waiting for that strong shift in momentum, it puts you at a much safer entry, because momentum is now in your favor. There's a likeliness that price will continue higher. Of course, if you enter now, you can probably get a better entry, better risk reward, but more likely potentially to get stopped out, of course. But those are the two areas which I think buys look smart, look good. And yeah, if it does play out, 196 would be my expectation. So I'm pretty bullish on the yen pairs for now. Euro pound, you said you bought at 0.842. Let's take a look, see. Okay, Euro pound's looking pretty good. I haven't actually looked at it this morning. Last time I looked, we're probably trading around here. But yeah, Euro pound was looking extremely flat, which is, I would say, a good sign, to be honest, because this again just looks like a big pullback to me. I'm not very optimistic with the price action of Euro pound because it's just very choppy most of the time. But I have to admit, structure has looked pretty clean here. Nice higher highs and higher lows. We came back, well, we almost came back into this low. I was actually looking for Euro pound to see a little bit more downside to actually test this area of demand before the buy, because we did break through this level here, which was my first level for a buy. It didn't really hold. So I was looking to see if price could push a little bit further down, but unfortunately just missed it. But yeah, it looks like momentum has really picked up. And momentum looks to have finally made its mind up in terms of which way it wants to go. We've seen a clean break to the upside there. So yeah, I do think we can see some more upside here for Euro pound. I wouldn't be so optimistic in terms of, okay, I'm looking for a higher low for a push all the way back to the high there. It could be the case, but I would definitely want to have targets before that. I think as price starts to come back into areas like this, locking gains there, maybe there's support there, locking some gains. This area here proven to be a lot of support and resistance, support, resistance, resistance, resistance. So those are kind of areas I will be looking maybe to move stops to break even or secure partial, even just get out the trade altogether. But you said you were in at 0.842, so that's around here somewhere. Yeah, really nice entry, looking good there. Poppy with that position. I do think price can continue a lot further. So yeah, I think Euro pound's looking really, really good. I do think we can push on. I'm not expecting a massive swing back to highs, but I do think we can at least push up, maybe form another lower high somewhere and come back down, but that's still worthwhile to profit from. So looking good there. Okay, so I'll go take a look at natural gas for Annie. What's up, Dima? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Poppy, I like pound yen buys of the 200 MA on the daily. Where is that? Okay. Yeah, we could see price push a little bit deeper to go hit the 200 there before bouncing. That would kind of line up with the second area I mapped out as well. But yeah, 200 is always a great confluence if you can have that on your side of things. See price reject with that. That would be a nice location for a buy. Okay, so let's look at natural gas. So it's been a while since I've kept tabs on natural gas, to be honest. But you've asked for the next 2 to 3 days, Annie? Yeah, 2, 3 days. So, okay, natural gas has been very bullish actually. Yeah, this week, very strong rally to the upside there. So with natural gas, let me just get a big kind of scope on price. It was very flat, to be honest. Okay, so we kind of pushed up. Looks like the market's struggling at the highs there. We did take out some key lows over here as well, which is not a good sign for the buyers. We kind of have a very big rejection up at the high there. I wouldn't be surprised if natural gas does go through somewhat bit of a drop there, actually, longer term. In terms of the next 2, 3 days, I mean, I'd probably be focused on the sells. I wouldn't necessarily say we'll come into a very nice place for a short. Ideally, kind of want to be up at the high there, but this would be something I'll look at because this is where I expect us to end up, back at support. But it's not, like I said, it's not at an area which I would like to short from unless we get back to resistance up there. So, yeah, natural gas, I would be bearish in terms of my next big swing. I do think we can see a push down. It might take us 2 to 3 days to actually push up there, to be honest. So that might be the move. But I think the bigger move and the more meaningful move is with the shorts here. Yeah, so I will be looking at trying to continue this bearish structure. Massive high there gives us a low. Another lower high gives a low. Looking at this being the next lower high for a push back into support there as well. So if we can get a push back into resistance, maybe a lower high or respects the high and maybe a big double top, that would be nice. But that's the swing I'm looking at for natural gas. I do think we can see more downside there with that one. Came back into this kind of area, rejected it very, very well, as we can see. So now I'd expect us just to keep falling. So yeah, hopefully that made sense for natural gas. Antonio, keep XXXC pairs and you watch this for the first few weeks of June. Bullish opportunities. Yeah, I am. I'm still keeping an eye on the Aussie CHF. Yeah, I'm still keeping a close eye on Aussie CHF longs. I think that's New Zealand CHF longs as well. Clickbait, I think 195.5 is a major resistance for GJ. It is more or less coming into that 196 area. But yeah, anywhere around here is definitely major resistance, of course. If you were to get into a buy, I would advise that being your take profit, or at least an area where you lock in some gains and leave positions to run, or at least move a stop loss to break even. Because as we can see on 2 occasions, sellers have found resistance here pretty well and rejected price there. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Pound CHF waiting for a pullback to 1.11 and then sell, take profit 1.093, stop loss above the wicks. Okay, Ivan, I'll have a look on the flower chart, no problem, we'll take a look. Lauda, good morning, hope you're well. Welcome to another stream, hope you're doing good. Ruben, yes, we'll take a look at gold too. No problemo. So I'll go through euro and pound CAD for DMAR. and then I'll go through pound CHF, and I'll probably go through Aussie, New Zealand CHF as well, and gold too. So EuroCAD, pound CAD. So they're both being moderately bullish. CAD's been a bit on the weaker side of things, so Euro's found a little bit of upside there. Again, the overall market is still bullish, but I'm no longer really interested in buying EuroCAD because I do think we're hitting a top pretty soon. We've had a very, very impressive breakout at the start of the year, and now we're approaching some massive, massive areas of resistance. So naturally, as we do approach resistance like this, I do think we can have a bit of a dip. Even if the bigger move for EuroCAD is to break through this level, I would be looking at a push down first, maybe a higher low forming, and then we get the breakout. And then this could be something I look to buy, maybe closer to these areas for a nice swing trade. But as we do approach resistance here, this is seller's territory. If I'm going to do anything with EuroCAD, at least from a swing bias, I'm not saying you can't look to buy at these prices. If you're on like the hourly or 15-minute chart, of course you can find some buys there for the day or for a couple of days. But in terms of holding for potentially a few days, a week, not the best place to be buying into, unless you can maybe find some entries at the low here. Then you can move your stop loss to break even and be safe with things. But to me, it looks like price is getting ready for a push back up again. This was our last swing low, which created this high. So it looks like price has had a pullback of that essentially. And it looks like it's getting ready now for some continuation. We've broken out of that channel. Starting to see some higher lows here. 1, 2, 3. So in my book, it looks like we're probably going to get a swing to the upside again for EuroCAD. In terms of a trade, I think a nice maybe intraday opportunity would be, if we can break through this retest, maybe try and find the next higher low in that sequence. Could look good. Something like that, and maybe trade it back to resistance here or back to resistance at the high. But yeah, in my book, EuroCAD is looking bullish. Looks like we're forming potentially another higher low, and that can give us potentially another higher high. So, that would be the best case scenario. But there are other targets you can look at, as I've said. But yeah, EuroCAD right now, definitely seeing some bullish behavior. Looks like we've broken out that bearish structure. So I would be looking to try and follow that to the upside now for EuroCAD. Pound CAD, same situation. Very, very corrective though. So it hasn't really been looking great. It has broken through some highs here, which leads me to expect a push back to the highs here at 0.875. I've said, many, many times that I do think pound CAD is hitting a top soon. And I do think longer term, we're actually going to see a big sell. We've been grinding higher for a couple of years now. Price has taken out some major structure to our left there as well. So I do think not only is price overextended, we've taken out some major highs, taken out liquidity. I do think price eventually will see a pretty big drop. But at the moment in time, not seeing that. Everything is still pretty bullish here for pound CAD. And it looks like we've cracked through some resistance and we're using that now as support. So in my book, I do think pound CAD has another chance to rally here. Back into the highs at 1.874, 875, and then we'll go from there. We probably will see some new highs past that point. Maybe might form a massive double top and come back down. I would say that's a pretty likely event as well. But for now, the next maybe day or two, I do think we can see some continuation. Market's been very consistent with these higher lows, back above support. I do think pound CAD could rally. So it looks like pound CAD and Euro CAD, which are very similar pairs, do look like they've got some fuel in the tank to keep pushing higher. We'll just see how high that move will be. But yeah, looking pretty bullish here for EuroCAD and pound CAD. In terms of pound CHF, so I'm not really the biggest fan of pound CHF. I like Aussie CHF. I like New Zealand CHF. I even like CAD CHF. Just because I feel like I can get a good read of what I'm expecting price to do maybe the next month potentially. So I do feel like there's a lot of upside to be taken advantage there. Pound CHF on the other hand, I don't like it because it's a bit more flat, this pair. I know we had a very exceptional bearish move not long ago, but as a whole the market is very, 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 very flat. We've seen some big moves recently, but they don't really amount to much. Price just bounces that support really. It doesn't really give us much follow through. So altogether, I think the pair is pretty flat. And as we approach areas like so, I do think there's a strong chance of us forming another higher low and pushing back to resistance. I don't see continuation here with pound Swiss. So with pound CHF, yes, we've kind of hit some major resistance on the higher time frames. This is the weekly chart. Prices come back into some support here, turn resistance. You can see we left some wicks there to the upside in the weekly chart. So we are respecting resistance here, and we've been expecting price to go for a little bit of a dip. I don't think it's going to be anything too spectacular before we do find support and pick things back up again. Ivan, you said you're looking for pullbacks into 1.11, so that would be roughly around here. So I zoom back into support there for a retest and another short back down. I'm guessing that's what you're after. Take profit 1.093. Okay, so it's more or less coming back into the low, and stop loss above the wicks on the pullback. Okay, so yeah, I don't mind that move. It's a bit more intraday, that move. Not necessarily intraday, it's a bit more intra-week. That'll probably take at least 2 or 3 days to play out. That move might be even longer. But I like the idea because you're not looking for necessarily the bigger move, because people might get a little bit distracted by this move and expect continuation. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, that could happen. I can't see into the future, but I can just tell from the conditions of the market that the likeliness of that happening is pretty slim. And as we do approach these kind of areas, I would expect buyers to take us back up again. So I like the short. You're not necessarily looking to take advantage of anything crazy. Mostly the pullback of this move, if that's going to be the case. But as we do approach 1.09 to 1.098 to 1.09, I think this area, this zone, is definitely bullish territory where we might start to slow down, become a bit more corrective, and maybe look to turn things around. But in terms of the entry itself and the location, I think it's a smart area. Market's putting some lower highs now. Very much could see another one and a drop down, so I very much agree with that. And yeah, pretty much anywhere in here, I do think we can turn around. So I think targets are in a reasonable place as well. So I don't mind the setup at all. Like I said, I do think pound CHF is just quite a choppy pair. And if I had to look for a move, it probably would be the buys down here. But yeah, just not a big fan of the price action. Much prefer Aussie Swiss or New Zealand Swiss, which we'll go through shortly. I'll take a look at gold for Ruben. Lauder, I'm an AJ alongside you. Nice, Lauder. Let's see if we can push Aussie Yen to the upside together. But yeah, I've been eyeing up Aussie Yen for a while. Since last week, I spoke about it. I said I think Aussie Yen and New Zealand Yen will be my most kind of favored setups for the upcoming week, for this week. Aussie Yen did give me an entry, which I'm happy with, so I did jump into that position. New Zealand Yen, not so much, but I still like the buys for that one as well. If Aussie Yen does play out and maybe New Zealand Yen's not quite ready yet, I wouldn't mind jumping into New Zealand Yen as well if I can get Aussie to break even. Thoughts on dollar yen? Yeah, UJ was very bearish yesterday, of course. Today, this morning, dollar has been pretty weak, so that has not helped USD JPY buyers at all. And to the long earlier today, okay, we'll go take a look. No problem, Dimar, happy to help. No problem, Ivan, happy to help as well. So I'll go through gold quickly, and then I'll take a look at dollar yen. I'll probably go through the rest of the yen pairs as well, because I'm still quite intrigued with the yen pairs. Actually, let me go to Rwanda. So yeah, for gold, I do think there's more upside to be had with this one. Seen some healthy bullish structure since we last spoke. I believe last time we were trading around here-ish, so we did see a pretty healthy breakout there. And it has now left behind some really nice levels of support, which the market potentially can visit, retest, and I think that'll be a smart place for some entries. We have seen some bullish structure come into play with these higher lows, 1, 2, 3, essentially just looking for the fourth. It's in a nice area of confidence, really retesting that resistance alongside the trend line. And the key thing as well for gold is that we respected the support level and the low of the channel. This could just be a really big bull flag pattern for gold. It's very much still in a bullish climate. We're still very much in a bullish trend. I don't see any significant break of structures or any significant bearish momentum that tells me that gold is no longer bullish. Of course, we did see a pretty big drop here, but it didn't do anything. It did take out this low, but this was never an important low to take out anyway, because the low never gave us a new high. If it did give us a new high, then we broke the low, then of course that would be a break of structure. That would be pretty significant, but it never happened. So to me, gold is still pretty bullish. I think we actually do have a larger trend line, which price is kind of respecting there as well. But yeah, more upside I would expect for gold. I would still be a bit cautious as we get to the up end of the channel, because there is that possibility we still do form another lower high, 1, 2, 3, and then maybe we drop it again. So I would be a bit skeptical of that. I think maybe targets around the upper end of the channel makes sense, at least maybe just to go break even at least, or some partials. There is a world we do break the channel there and just fly back to the all-time highs and further as well. It's up to gold for that. Again, as traders, we're not necessarily predicting what price is going to do, just reacting. But for now, that's the best play I can see. 32.50 buys from there, looking for another push higher. In terms of dollar yen, so yeah, dollar yen was pretty bearish yesterday. USD was pretty weak, of course. Yen, we didn't really see much strength with either, so it wasn't like we saw yen be particularly weak. Much weakness, sorry. We didn't see yen be particularly weak, which would have helped the yen pairs push up. And of course, dollar was just a little bit weaker, so we did kind of slip and slide to the downside. Nothing significant, because we are still coming into this area of support, which is essentially the level I talked about yesterday. I said this could be a nice place for a buy. That 4-hour candle that just closed doesn't really provide us with much information, really. Nice bearish candle into support, nice bullish candle away from support, but didn't necessarily engulf or provide any considerable momentum there. So I would wait for more development to really get that confirmation that, okay, support is well and truly holding. There's a strong likelihood price is going to push away to the upside now. But I think we're in a really nice area. And to be honest, this would be the last level which I would give dollar yen the benefit of the doubt. If we do go and break through this, I would probably not be expecting the move to the upside anymore, to be honest. I know technically speaking, price can pull back all the way into the support here and still potentially rally, but yeah, my worry would be that we're potentially seeing just another lower high, another continuation to the lows again. So I'll be a bit skeptical of that. But yeah, USD has come back into support. I would wait for potentially another strong candle to close, something like that, to give me some confidence that momentum is holding. Buyers are doing their job, and they're likely to turn around. And of course, if that plays out, we could be looking at a very nice swing for dollar yen back into 148.5. And for the most part, we are still pretty corrective on the way down, which again gives the impression that this is just a pullback for price to push on. But the entry is still so important. We need to see that momentum come back into the market. For now, not quite there, but we are still trading at a decent level of support, 144. I did mention this on the weekly analysis on the weekend, that if this area doesn't hold, there is still 144. We're trading at 144. Let's see if we can get that reaction. And yeah, that will be a strong indication that we can turn around. And the good thing about dollar yen as well is if it does play out, you're looking at a pretty decent risk to reward. I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily you have to have your targets up here, but if the swing is going to continue and we are going to see this bullish structure continue, well, it's a pretty big swing, especially if you can enter maybe on like an hourly chart. You could be looking at 1 to 5s, 1 to 6s, maybe even more than that. So I would say the reward is worth the risk as well with this one. Appreciate it, Poppy. If you guys are enjoying the content, by the way, please be sure to drop a like on the stream. It does really help out. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel as well. If you are enjoying the content, finding it useful, helps grow the channel, of course, gets the content out there to more people. And of course, if you hit the bell, you don't miss out on any streams or uploads because you will be notified too. But I do appreciate everyone who has liked and subscribed to the channel. As I said, it does really help out, so thank you a lot. Okay, nice, James. Yeah, I do think there's upside there for dollar yen, but critical that we do get that momentum from that level. In terms of the rest of the yen pairs, so we had a look at pound, Aussie, New Zealand yen, another yen pair which I do like the look of. Hasn't really seen much momentum compared to Aussie, and Aussie came back into support pretty well too. So I think maybe New Zealand yen can still do the same thing as well. I still do expect the same move there for New Zealand yen. Again, they're very similar pairs. So if I'm going to be looking for a bullish swing on Aussie, 9 times out of 10, if not 10, I'm looking for a bullish swing on New Zealand yen as well. And that goes for most of the Aussie and NZD pairs as well. But yeah, I like New Zealand yen. I like Aussie a little bit more, hence why I'm trading that one. And the entry was a lot better too. But there is still this level here, which I would like to see New Zealand yen get to. I think this is a really nice place for a buy. I think the risk reward here will be phenomenal if it does get there. And we can see potentially a really big inverse head and shoulder pattern play out. This would be the left, that would be the head, and that would be the right. And if we can get there, I think that could provide some really nice buys, at least back to resistance there. And again, depending on the entry, could be looking at a very healthy risk to reward. So I like the buys with New Zealand yen. That's the swing I'm looking for. At the moment, not really seeing that develop just yet, but we might find support here as well. So I would keep an eye on that. But those are the two areas of which I would be looking to take some buys from with New Zealand yen if I do look to pivot. But back to resistance is my expectation. And possibly further as well. We did get a big break of structure there too, which does normally imply more upside in the long term too. So I do like the look of New Zealand yen as well. In terms of euro yen, again, pretty bullish on this one. I think euro naturally has been a little bit stronger than a lot of other currencies. If you look at euro CAD, that's up. Euro dollar's up. Euro pound's up. Euro Aussie, Euro NZD, I think they've been a little bit up as well. So euro has been one of the stronger currencies in recent times, and that's probably held euro up a little bit. Now the price action isn't looking spectacular. I would probably just argue that this is pretty much just consolidation. But maybe this afternoon, if we could see a strong close there for euro yen breaking outside of that consolidation, I think that's a good entry in itself. The only thing is, where do you put your stop loss? You could put your stop loss just below this area here. It does leave a little bit vulnerable. If a retest was to come, you could very much easily get wicked out with that. You could put your stop loss in the very safe place, which would be underneath the consolidation. That gives you a lot of room to work with, even if the price does retest or have a deep retest. It still puts you relatively safe. But it does skew things in terms of your risk to reward. Might not even be looking at a 1-to-1 back to resistance there. So does that trade become worthwhile? I'll probably say no. So that's the only thing I'm struggling there with Euro JPY. But in terms of direction, in terms of my bias, I am looking for a bullish swing here for Euro Yen back into resistance. I do have some higher up targets as well. I do think there's a good chance we push back into 166.5 up there too. So as long as Euro JPY stays consistent with these higher lows, which so far it's doing a good job at doing that, then I do think we can continue the push to the upside. And of course, we've been very consistent with the higher highs as well. Let's not forget. So yeah, Euro JPY I think is in a great place. Pull back into a nice area. The fact that we're consolidating does give us more confidence that a high low is forming here, and then we can see price rally to the upside. I think it does really stem from the yen basket and how that develops. like I said, we're coming into a nice area of supply where we could turn around. Haven't really seen the weakness come in yet. I think once we see that weakness come in, then we can really expect the yen pairs to push. But Euro Yen, I do have that bullish bias. CHF JPY, I feel like that's just a weird one right now. I don't really have too much to say about CHF JPY apart from I feel like CHF right now is a little bit strong. So this has actually had a pretty nice move to the upside. It did respect this area of demand pretty well. So as you can see, the high lows price has been creating. It actually respected that demand level very, very well. Nice shift of momentum yesterday. And we've been looking pretty bullish since then, to be honest. So this is not really to do with yen being weak. It's more so to do with CHF being strong. And it looks like we're probably going to crash back into resistance at this stage. But again, not really seeing an opportunity to buy into that. I'm not the biggest fan of CHF JPY either. Just because, you know, approaching resistance now, so I'm not really eager to keep buying it. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down, to be honest, from resistance. But yeah, don't really have too much to say for CHF JPY. CAD Yen, this one's interesting. I'm looking at CAD JPY, and we are pretty desperate now. I don't want to see price break through this support level. If it does, I'm going to completely ignore the price action for CAD Yen going into the near future, because at that point, I think I'll just mark this as a big consolidation for CAD Yen, really. Equal highs, more or less, equal lows, more or less. And if we don't respect this bullish structure, it tells me that, okay, we're just in this range. And that's the type of price action I'm going to be expecting for the next few days. Well, maybe even longer than a few days, few weeks potentially. I won't be really interested with the price action for CAD Yen until we get the break of that support or that resistance, and then I can go from there. If the trend is going to continue, we'll get a nice break to the downside, then so on and so forth. Pullbacks, continuations. If we do break to the upside, maybe we've got a big reversal on our hands. Same situation. Pullbacks, so on and so forth. So that's really where the interest now comes for CAD Yen. Up at the lows, down at the lows, sorry, or up at the highs. But we need to see that breakout. But that can all be saved if CAD Yen can respect this 4-hour market structure here. Again, it's kind of lacking momentum. I would say a nice entry for CAD Yen would be a strong closure, not getting my words out, strong closure above this descending channel. I know we've got a slight bullish engulfing candle there, but it doesn't really mean much. Again, not every bullish engulfing or every bearish engulfing is worth an entry. Normally the bigger the better, to be honest, with engulfing candles. But if we could break some structure here, which is basically breaking out of that descending channel, a strong close above all that noise, I think that would be a really nice entry. You know, we're pulling back into this kind of area of demand, into the price swing low. This is the swing low, which gave us the highs over there. Of course, this is the bullish structure price has been creating. So if we are going to push the upside, well, we have to respect this area. If we do violate that, then like I said, that just turns us into a big consolidation at that point. But if we can respect this area, then possibly we see the trend continue, and you know, we continue from that regard. So that would be my outlook, or at least just a push back to resistance. We don't necessarily have to continue with new highs, but that is still a very attractive swing to look to trade. But yeah, in terms of an entry, I'd wait for a strong close above that descending channel. Entries, you know, similar to that, stops below the low, and push back to the high. Could at least be looking for like a 2-to-1 there, which is pretty good in my book. So that's kind of where I'm at with the yen pairs for now. Still looking for some yen weakness, but it's been a bit awkward. Haven't really seen the yen weakness come into play, to be honest. Probably planning to sell Euro Swiss at around 0.94. Okay, let's have a look at Euro CHF. Okay, I remember we talked about this yesterday. You mentioned you mentioned the 200 moving average as well, didn't you? So yeah, as I said yesterday, I think it's a smart place for a sell. Using the 200 daily moving average is a very good confluence for a trade. Definitely has dynamic support and resistance. I don't normally use moving averages for direction because I use market structure for that. If we're making lower lows and lower highs, yeah, that means we're bearish, and of course the opposite means we're bullish. So I use that for direction. But again, it does act as support and resistance quite frequently and does provide some nice opportunities, when it does reject well. So previously we've had 2 attempts here try and break it as resistance. Once failed miserably, second did it again as well. So I think shorts around 0.94 makes sense as well. Potentially trying to capitalize on another lower high forming and potentially another push back down again, maybe in a double top there as well. I remember you said you're looking to take it back into support, which I suppose more or less these areas, or maybe 0.92. As I said yesterday with USCHF, I'm not in love with the sells. I know the market is overly bearish. We're seeing lower lows and lower highs. That's the direction of the market. But because we've had numerous attempts to try and break support and has failed, 1, 2, 3, 4, and really heavy rejections as well. It's not like it's been a slight test. No, we've seen price crash into these levels on separate occasions and reject very aggressively. So I think the best I can see for the trade is a push back into support. I wouldn't try and hold for a breakout. But even with that, I'll probably look to try and secure gains beforehand as well, just because this is very, very choppy price action, pretty much consolidation. There's a world where I do get short, price does see some nice downside, maybe it respects support and then does come up against me. So to mitigate against that, locking in some gains as we do come into some lows, I think can make a lot of sense and protect yourself against sudden reversals, which EuroCHF has been doing quite a lot of recently. But yeah, in terms of location, I think it's a great place for a short. Yeah, I'm not looking for a crazy swing just because we have had a lot of trouble at support there. Yeah, for good memory, I forgot I even asked about EuroCHF. I appreciate it, Poppy. I don't think my memory is anything crazy. But yeah, I just remembered yesterday you mentioning about the 200 and the test of it. But yeah. Pound yen G4. Okay, so I'll take a look at pound yen and I'll go through some of the crosses. So yeah, as I mentioned with pound yen, I think it's a nice place for a buy. I think in terms of the current price action, I would still wait for some momentum before taking an entry, because we are coming into support here, but we've been a bit sluggish, not really seeing price bounce well and truly. So I would suggest wait for a bit of a reaction, a strong close, maybe something breaking out of that kind of descending wedge there. That could be a nice entry signal for a trade. Stops below the low. I have marked out this zone here just below us here at 191.5. I think that'll be a smart place for a buy as well for pound yen. But in terms of the plan, it's very much just looking for a higher low for a swing back into resistance. 196, we've been pretty consistent with these higher lows. The plan is, can we look to continue that really? Unless, of course, price does violate that with a break of structure. Well, then it's back to the drawing board there for pound yen. Maybe at that point, we might form some weird consolidation, so I might just back away completely. But for now, we still do have structure at play, which I'm still looking for the continuation of. We're trading in a nice area of demand here, which you can see price slowing down for. So now we're just waiting for momentum to shift and imply to us, okay, the buys are well and truly here. We're ready to push higher. If not, then this becomes the area of interest. And that's kind of a major area, because this is, of course, the low that gave us the move higher. So if we do break through that, like I said, back to the drawing board with my analysis for pound yen. But for now, that's my expectation, and just naturally a push back into resistance for pound yen. Nothing too crazy there. Looking at a pretty decent move there regardless. That's 300 pips from that level, roughly. And then from here, you're looking at about 400, almost 500 pips there. So some juicy swings there for pound yen, but it does hinge on yen being weak, which we just haven't seen yet. So I'm going to keep a very close eye on the yen basket, because I feel like that will make or break a lot of those yen ideas. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to sell from here. As long as pound yen doesn't break through this high, that's what keeps me bearish on the yen. So we could, push up a little bit higher and then drop, or even respect the high and then drop as well. So those are scenarios which can definitely happen. But if price was to do this for the yen basket and break structure, again, I'm going to have to reanalyze things there too. But we'll see how everything does develop. In terms of some of the crosses, what's up, Yusuf? Good morning. Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. So some of the crosses, I did say I was potentially look to enter pound Aussie again, because I still do have a bearish bias for that one, but it has been a little bit awkward to re-enter. I like how corrective we're looking, which gives me the impression that this is potentially a pullback for us to continue lower. That was our last high in the market, gave us a lovely drive to the low. Now I'm looking at potentially trying to catch the next lower high for another drive to the downside. So that's still the plan there with pound Aussie, just struggling to find some entries. Maybe if price does keep pushing and break structure there, maybe we are going to see a massive move to the upside for pound Aussie. Maybe we are going to push back to the highs here at 2.15. But I need that break of structure first, though. That will invalidate the sales for me. If we stay corrective, then yep, I'm looking for an entry somewhere. I don't really have a setup I'm looking to take just yet. It's more so that I'm just liking the area we're trading in. I'm liking how price is moving. Now I'm just waiting for an entry to develop, which could take maybe a couple of days on the 4-hour chart. Maybe even a bit longer as well. But I like the area we're trading in. And I like how we're trading in that area there too. So it's just about monitoring, keeping an eye out. Again, thing I always try to preach about, staying reactive to the market. You don't want to be too rigid. The market has to do this or has to do that, because at the end of the day, the market doesn't have to do anything. And some of the best traders are traders who have a bias, are willing to be wrong, and then are quickly able to change the bias and take advantage of what the market actually does. So even though they were initially wrong in the direction, they still walk away with a profit because they were able to be adaptive and trade in the opposite direction than what they originally thought the market would do, and still be able to take a profit from that. That's the type of flexibility you want. So potentially if the market does break to the upside and does take out the high, again, quick to change my bias. Maybe there might be some pullbacks we can trade and take it back to the high. But for now, because we're still respecting structure, I'm still going to be eyeing up a short. But yeah, far from ready. I also like the look of Euro Aussie. I think pound Aussie is a little bit better, but I feel like Euro Aussie's got some downside as well. Coming back into some price support here on the left. I feel like that's a very smart level for a short. Potentially looking at a bit of a double top here. And again, potentially a nice swing back into lows. I understand the market trend is overall still pretty bullish, but I do feel like there's more downside to be had here for Euro Aussie for a bit of a pullback. And again, not looking for anything crazy. I think we can get back to support with this one. But we'll see. Euro NZD in a similar situation as well. Looking quite bullish. I believe we're in a very corrective channel here. Probably get the breakout of that, but I do think somewhat a lower high could develop. We can form something of a head and shoulder pattern here. Not as enthusiastic to trade this one. I feel like it's a little bit more up in the air. Euro Aussie, because it's coming back into some nice structure right now, I can plot a better trade there. So I'll rather focus with Euro Aussie. Like I said, I'll keep an eye on pound Aussie. I'm not looking to trade them both because Euro Aussie, pound Aussie, pretty much the same thing most of the time anyway. So I'll just keep an eye on both and see which one does shape up. Yusuf yesterday got an entry for dollar yen and it played out well. Pound USD though didn't reach the level before it flew up. I thought it did, or did it just miss on that? Oh my word, yeah, it just missed that, didn't it? That is close. Yeah, because I remember yesterday we were speaking on that. And I remember you asked me, is that a level we could potentially buy from? And I was like, yeah, it's a nice level, solid resistance, clean break to the upside. You know, potentially you can take out some of these lows, respect support there, then bounce. That would make for a nice level. Of course, we have to wait for price to get there and react. But unfortunately, yeah, just missed it there. And again, that's a part of trading as well. No matter what style of trading you have, there will be times price just misses your zones or your entry areas by a pip potentially sometimes. Of course, you can give yourself some room for error, but my rule is always I want price to test my zones because I don't want to be in a situation where I'm like, okay, it just missed my level, but let me just buy anyway because, the market isn't perfect. It potentially might move without me. Of course, in this case, you'd be walking away with a nice trade. But there will be some situations where you do get stopped out and price just goes and hits your level, then gives you the trade. Then you look like a donut a little bit because you might as well just have waited for price to actually do what you said it will do and then take your trade there. And it allows you to practice discipline and consistency as well. And it shows good emotional control as well because that fear of missing out will happen to everyone. But if you can control yourself, wait for your levels to be hit, you can be consistent with your approach and not kind of just get sucked into a trade just because you feel like it will miss out. Because when you do that as well, there'll be times where we miss it by a bigger distance as well. And you would take some entries, you might end up taking a couple losses before it does even hit your level there. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. Difficult to get around that completely. I think that always will be a part of trading, just where we kind of just miss levels. I mean, there are ways to go against that, some dollar cost averaging techniques, but things do get a bit complicated when you do trade like that as well. Anyway, but dollar yen did have that drop. I remember we were talking about some sells. I don't know if it quite hit the level we were talking about. Okay, yes it did. Dollar yen did. Very, very nice. Nice and corrective, slow on the way up. We're talking about kind of an area of slow, kind of an area where a low high could form. Almost a double top there, but we did form a lower high and did push back down. So very nice move there for dollar yen. Very nice move. I remember you said you were targeting support there as well. So yeah, beautiful move there on the 15-minute chart. I have to agree with that. Wow, looks like dollar yen's looking pretty bearish right now. Today I'm looking for pound USD or Euro USD buy, but I favor Euro USD more because I have confidence in it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's where you want to focus your setups on, where the confidence lies, because it gives you more backing as well. Confidence just means reason for price to do the same thing. If you've got more reasons for price to do the same thing, why wouldn't you want to trade that? But yeah, Euro USD I think looks good for a buy. Let me know the setup or where you're looking to trying to take a buy. I think this level looks good here at 1.125 for Euro USD. I think that's more of a setup for like an hourly chart, maybe even 4 hours. Well, I know you like to trade 15, but I feel like that's a really nice setup to keep an eye on where there is room to the upside to maneuver in. Pound USD, I'm not the biggest fan of the buys. Don't get me wrong, the market is very, very bullish and we could go a lot further. However, we are trading in some massive, massive resistance right now. If you look to the left, really big reaction to the downside. We're back at the highs there again. So not that price can't go and break through and continue further. We absolutely can, but I'd rather trade Euro because there is no big level in front of us. the next big level, could argue maybe the high there, but that's not really that significant. The next big level would be all the way up there, 1.156. So there's a lot of room for us to trade into, and because of that, I do think we can take advantage of that. So yeah, Euro USD in my eyes looks a lot better in terms of where we can trade that to. We have broken out that descending channel now. I was hoping price could hold resistance there, but we didn't. Price did break through. Now things are looking very bullish. So the plan now would be looking for another higher low. DXY pretty much have the same outlook as well. Of course, inverted. We've got lower highs here. I do think a good chance the lower high there could form. This is still bullish territory for the dollar. This is still an area of demand, which did give us a big drive higher. And now we are trading into that area. So this is still bullish territory where buyers I'll expect to be entering the market, trying to drive higher, but I don't think they'll be entirely successful in terms of a big swing to the upside. I think that swing now is looking pretty unlikely. I was favoring that swing over here, but since we have cleared support there, I'm no longer looking for that drive anymore. I do think we might see some retracement, but that's kind of the best I've got there with Euro before potentially we do continue back to lows. Because my plan has been looking to continue this bearish momentum for the dollar. I do think the longer term move is still more downside. I do think we can still drop, but I have been looking at maybe a pushback to the 104, 103.5 area for a short. But unfortunately, looks like the dollar didn't quite have enough juice to go and get that that particular price before we do fall over. But yeah, things are looking pretty bearish right now for the dollar. We may just go and break support there. If we do that, then we might not even see that pullback there. For USD, we might just crack support and just go and attack the lows straight away. So that's a possibility. We might not see that pullback there for the dollar. But if we do keep a close eye on that, I think that's a really nice opportunity with some decent distance to the downside. So the risk reward could be pretty juicy with that as well. But yeah, dollar looking pretty bearish. Euro looking pretty bullish as well. Kojo, yep, we'll take a look at dollar CAD for you as well. Euro USD 1.12820, pound USD 1.34. But GU only if it forms a double bottom. I like it. But for the reasons I said, I do think Euro is a lot better than pound. Again, they're very similar pairs at the end of the day. So if Euro is going to rally, then pound most likely will rally too. They might go at different speeds, but they do the same thing 8-9 times out of 10. So if you are going to look for both of them, you just want to pick the better one at the end of the day, which I think is probably going to be Euro, but doesn't mean pound can't be a decent trade as well. But for, like I said, prices approaching major resistance to our left, so I would always be a bit skeptical of buying at those prices. I understand the double bottom kind of idea. If price can come back, respect the low here, I think that would be a nice opportunity for a buy there. And then a continuation back to highs. I feel like that is a nice idea. There's a lot of bullish momentum in the market right now. USD looks pretty weak. That should help pound USD to the upside. Like I said, I think Euro is the cleaner opportunity, but will we see a pullback for Euro? Because right now it's absolutely steaming to the upside, at least in the 15-minute anyway. I think Thursday we've got a lot of news, a lot of PMI for pounds, Euro, dollar, so we could see a bit of movement tomorrow. Let me actually go check the news for today. I don't think we've got much today, do we? Today is Wednesday, right? Yeah. Unless I've got my days mixed up. Yeah, Wednesday, not much at all, actually. We did have inflation for pound earlier, which is probably why pound is quite strong. He's getting a bit stronger right now. We did have inflation for pound, but the rest of the day, nothing significant really. But yeah, tomorrow we've got Aussie PMI, then we've got Euro PMI, then we've got Pound PMI, and then we've got USD PMI. So a lot of, and also retail sales for Aussie as well. So lots of news tomorrow. A lot of news tomorrow, then JPY inflation the morning after. So yeah, could see a bit movement tomorrow, but today I'm not expecting anything crazy. Anyway, I'll take a look at that Euro USD position, and I'll take a look at dollar CAD for Kojo as well. Euro has a trend line confluence on it, so okay. Good to know that there's news tomorrow in Euro and Pound. Yeah, hopefully I've hit my TP by then. Yeah. Because of course you're trading Euro and Pound, Poppy, so you're going to be amongst it there. But hopefully I don't mind when there's news coming out for a trade I'm in, because again, it's a toss of a coin. Maybe it goes for you, maybe it goes against you. I suppose on the lower time frames you have to be a bit more cautious, because even if it is for you, it potentially could go against you the first 15-20 minutes, and that could knock you out your position. Of course, when I'm trading on the 4-hour chart, I do have a slightly wider stop loss. It could be 50, 100, potentially 150 pips as well sometimes when the market's a bit more volatile. And that could give me enough room to kind of stomach the initial kind of fluctuation of the news. So if it is for me, normally it does help me out. Of course, if it's against me, then it's against me. But yeah, I just look at news as a catalyst to get the market moving. So I don't really mind the news as long as my stop loss allows it. And of course, it's nothing kind of major. Maybe like an NFP, I might be a bit more cautious. But anyway, Euro's flying to the upside right now. You're looking at 1.12820, 1.12820, which I suppose lines up with the high here. So yeah, I would say that is a nice place for a buy as well, especially with a 15-minute outlook. And I suppose the trend line is connecting these lows up as well. So yeah, that would be a nice buy. Now it's just a waiting game for price to actually get there for the buy, because maybe we do top out, run out a bit of juice, and then come back down. Then maybe the next couple of days you do see that buy, or maybe Euro just says nope and we just fly. That could be the situation as well. That's where the patience comes in and the discipline comes in to kind of say, okay, that's my setup, and I'm just going to wait to see if price can actually form that setup. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. But your consistency and your approach to that will give you a lot of peace in trading as well. But yeah, I do agree with that setup. Anyway, let's take a look at dollar CAD. So USD CAD, USD CAD I do think is naturally just going to continue what the other USD pairs are doing. I mean, dollar's looking very bearish. Like I said, I do think dollar could be looking at a move back down to 97.954, basically 98. It does look like dollar could be looking at pushing back to these lows. So if dollar's going to have another drive to these lows, well, that probably means dollar CAD will look to join the party as well and probably have another drive back to its relative lows as well, which is around 1.376. In terms of entries, which is the most important thing, how can we actually enter the trade and take advantage of the move? Ideally, I would like to see price up there. Now, would we see that move? I have no idea. Probably looks relatively unlikely now, but well and truly that would be the most appropriate place for an entry, where I can get into a trade safely, up high, near resistance, have a relatively safe stop loss, and of course maximize my risk reward as well. So ideally, that's where a setup would be nice. Next best opportunity would be a break and retest of this level here. Not as ideal, a bit more kind of central, which is never really the best, especially in FX. You kind of want to be up high or down low, gives your stop loss a bit more safety, and of course maximize your risk reward. And because FX markets, they do fluctuate quite a bit, and they can be a bit noisy sometimes. You kind of want to be near the high or near the low, which gives you a bit more security. In the middle of things is never really a good idea, to be honest. But that might be the best opportunity we get, especially if we can see a bit more downside. A quick break and retest of this level around 1.39 might be the best opportunity for an actual sell to actually take advantage of the move. So I'd keep an eye on that. But again, ideally that would be nice. But then, like I said, I don't think price actually does have that pullback. But yeah, dollar CAD, I've been really bearish on this one. I have been waiting for a bit more upside before I do short dollar CAD. I spoke a few times about this support level here. I spoke a few times about this support level here as well. Both really nice levels, 1.405, 1.415. Basically trying to catch the next low high. 1, 2, and then 3. And then, of course, looking for the swing. Looks like in this situation, we just didn't quite have enough energy to get to those levels I've been speaking about. Looks like we're kind of just going to roll over from here. But yeah, dollar CAD, very bearish on this one. Looks like we're just about to roll over here. Popping pretty close to my take profit. I would be pissed if news messed it up. Yeah, of course, if that does happen, that would be very unfortunate. If you're close to a take profit and then just see price do a 180 from you, yeah, that wouldn't be nice. Where is your take profit for euro pound? What's up, Alex? Good morning. Hope you're well. Can you look at oil? Of course. I haven't actually looked at oil since yesterday. So this will be new to me. Oh, okay. So oil was quite bullish, actually. That was at night there. At 11. What happened? What happened there? Must have been some news event that caused that. But yeah, I mean, oil is looking a little bit tiresome now at these levels, which isn't particularly great because I wanted to see oil get back to 66, which is this massive level of support and resistance on the daily chart. We broke through that not long ago. A retest of that would be very, very nice for a short and a long, to be honest. If price does crack that and we do break back above that level, I think that would be a great place to base a buy from and look for a really clever swing back to resistance and potentially further as well. So I think that's a great place just to focus on when price gets there. But like I said, at the moment, the market is looking a little bit tiresome because we've had a pretty corrective run to the upside, followed by a very aggressive wick to the high. In my book, that's a sign that price is struggling to see more upside and likely to push back down. I did speak earlier this week on oil. I said some buys could be looking good if we were to retest the low here and then push up. Unfortunately, didn't see that double bottom there. Price kind of just grinded higher without that pullback. I would say shorts actually look good from here. And if they don't play out, then you can always have a second stab at the high there at 66. I would expect at least a swing back to support here. We may return to the upside from that. So I would say maybe lock in some gains there or break even or some partials, however you want to manage it. I would keep an eye on that low. But there is a world where we do form another lower high here and price does have another drop back into support. So I would be keeping a close eye on some shorts there. If we were to rip to the upside, then yeah, the plan is still the same as it was before. Wait for a push into 66, then hopefully find some shorts from there later on. But yeah, oil really, really aggressive reaction. If we can pick up some momentum, I think that's a good short, and we could see a push back down. Let me know what you're looking to do with oil at the moment, Alex. Texty, yes, the time frame is on the chart. In the background, there's always the name of the pair, the market we're trading or looking at, and the associated time frame as well, of course. When the time frame changes, so does the background text as well. So yeah, take profit is a bit strange, a bit from a strange place. 0.8476. Okay. Why isn't this strange place, Poppy? I'm not asking why have you put it in a strange place. I'm just asking why is it a strange place. 0.8476. Whereabouts is that? 0.8476. Okay, so that's somewhere around here. I mean, I would probably be looking at a similar place for a take profit as well. I mean, like I said, I've marked out these zones here, so those would be the take profits, or at least partial areas I would have for euro pound. But I wouldn't argue that's a safe. That's a weird place. Coming back into an area of supply, areas of support resistance above and below. I think it's a very logical place for a stop for a take profit. And 1 to 3 risk reward ratio sounds pretty appealing to me as well. I should have taken profit already. Is it because price has already moved past your original target, or you should have taken a partial somewhere? But yeah, in my book, that looks like a very respectable place for a take profit. I like the buy. I like how things are shaped out. We fall back into a nice area of demand where you can potentially see price rally. We've seen a really strong indication of momentum coming into the market there as well. So I think everything's looking pretty good for euro pound there. And targets in a relatively nice place as well. Yusuf, do you think gold is getting ready for a pullback? 3250 has formed a channel. I have kept my eye on 3250. It would be nice if we could pull back there. Will we pull back there? It's always a difficult question to answer, and a question which I'm not really too concerned about getting right, because again, as I always say with trading, it's all about being reactive. When I'm looking for a trade, I'm always looking at areas where I can buy and sell, and then it's just a waiting game to see if price does get there. There'll be some times where price doesn't quite get there. And like I said earlier, there'll be times when price does get there. And of course, when we do get there, that's when I look for my entries and look to see if I can get into a trade. I think 3250 looks like a great place for a trade. You've got these higher lows, which price has been mapping out 1, 2, 3. Essentially looking for the fourth higher low. Now that we've cleared resistance very well, 3250 lines up pretty well with that area. We've got a nice trendline confluence there too. I do think we are likely to push to the upper end of this descending channel or bull flag, depending how you see it. So yeah, I do think we're likely to see that continuation. Now, will price pull back to 3250, or will we just continue up and go and hit the upper end of the channel? Like I said, you don't want to be too concerned with that question, because it's not like you're gonna buy it here if we don't have the pullback. This is where your setup is, so it's either price gets there or not. Best thing to do is set an alert and then go about your day, or if you're looking to trade another market, if price does get there, you'll be alerted. Cool, you're looking for your trade. If price doesn't get there, well, you didn't really waste much time. You could have done something else. You're not going to be watching your screen guessing if price is going to pull back or not. And sometimes that could invite you to take a silly position, because you're potentially feeling the fear of missing out, so you just take a weird buy anyway. So will we pull back there? Well, the market is looking pretty tight, so I would say maybe yeah, but I could see price rallying to the upside as well, Yusuf. So I think the 3250 setup is great. I would just stick an alert there, wait for price to get there, and then we can start talking about some entries. But yeah, we could still rally onwards. First grey zone you drew is an obvious place to take profit. Okay. Well, again, taking partial, taking profit. you want to have that planned in beforehand as well, so you can improve your discipline for it too. Because if you have it planned that, okay, when price gets to this first zone, I'm gonna take some profit, and then when it gets there, lock in some gains. Do what you said you will do. If you didn't say you'll do that, then don't do it, of course. And of course, you'll feel a lot better with trading when you do that as well. When you actually do what you say you'll do, trading will feel so much smoother and such a more kind of fun thing to do. Because if you don't do what you say you do, that's when things become a little bit stressful, and you potentially might not enjoy trading so much anymore because you're not even following your instructions. Trading is very, very difficult, and it becomes even more difficult if you don't follow instructions as well. So, staying true to what you said you would do, and don't worry too much what other people are doing either. People might be in a similar trade or maybe in the opposing trade. You don't be too concerned with that. Maybe today they win, you lose, but maybe tomorrow you win and they lose. It's never really a situation when you compare yourself too much as well. It's very, very much you against you, and you against your old self, and how your trading was going back then to how it's going now as well. But yeah, if it's a case where you should have taken profit, then of course you want to make sure that next time you're making that decision and taking profit where you said you will do, and just practicing that consistency. Because if you keep doing the things you said you'll do in the markets, well, then it will become second nature to do those things, and you won't think too much as well. Because the reason why you don't do it is because you're thinking, okay, I can make a little bit more profit if I just hang on to this trade a little bit more, which is true. But what happens if it doesn't happen? Then you start to kick yourself, and then things become quite ugly from then on afterwards. And again, we know that from experience. Lauder US 30. I haven't actually looked at the indices yet, have I? I will go for US 30. Which pair are you trading? I'm currently in Aussie yen. I am buying Aussie yen, looking for a push back to highs. Last time I checked, I was in a bit of a drawdown. Okay, not looking too good at all here for Aussie yen. Looks like the yen weakness hasn't really come into play. How's the yen basket doing? Yeah, looking a bit strong there, so might have entered the position a bit too early, but it fit the plan well. I do have a zone below us as well, which I'll look to have a second stab at the trade if that was to fail. But Aussie yen is the pair which I'm looking to trade today. I'll go for US 30. Poppy, S&P will take a look as well. Yusuf, no problem. Happy to help. It's more sensible to trade the charts, not the 1-to-3 ratio. Of course. Because at the end of the day, that's where everything stems from. You want to be focused on the chart itself. Risk-reward ratio is a symptom from you trading the chart. If you have an opportunity which warrants a 1-to-3 risk-reward, because that's what the chart portrays, then great. There'll be some opportunities which a 1-to-2 makes sense. There'll be some opportunities where like a 1-to-8 makes sense as well. Potentially swings are that big and it looks likely that price will get there. And that's where you can potentially get some big risk rewards. But the key thing is you're not forcing the 1-to-8. It comes to your trading setup naturally. And that's really where the skill is, to trade the market, and the ratio that comes from that 1-to-3, 1-to-2, 1-to-8, whatever it is. And like I said, it's a symptom from the setup. But US 30 is looking interesting because we are respecting this area of supply. We do have the 200 moving average, I believe, in and around that area, which we did break above, but looks like price may try to get back below here. We'll see how that candle does close. Again, I always want to judge closed candles in reference to support, resistance, moving averages, trend lines. I always want to judge closed candles. But for now, we're going to consider that price is above the 200 until it's not. So the key thing with US 30 is that I'm very, very bullish on the S&P. I'm very, very bullish on NAS. I think they're likely to return back to their all-time highs. So because of that bias, I do expect US 30 to follow suit. It might be a bit slower. It might go through a bit of a sell-off initially first, but I do think we will continue higher. At the moment, I did say yesterday on yesterday's stream that this is still bearish territory despite my bullish bias for the Dow Jones. This is still very much resistance supply. We don't really want to be buying into this, especially as a swing trader. Day trade, you can get away with it because you're in and out within the day. Longer term, I would be a bit more cautious. So I still like this area here because there's a big gap to be filled there. And of course, we've respected that once as well. I think this could still be a very nice place for a buy to attack US 30 to the upside. So around 41,700, I would say, would be a nice place for a buy. And then potentially from there, we might see the continuation. So US 30, that's still very much my take. Right now, respecting resistance, this is the high that gave us that massive sell-off to the downside. So rightly so, we're seeing some resistance and some selling pressure coming to the market. But as soon as we come back into bullish territory, where we did see some nice momentum previously, I think this is still a smart place for a buy, where we could see price push up and continue. In terms of the S&P, like I said, that's already cleared resistance and the 200. So I'm very, very bullish on the S&P. You've cleared resistance there. I'm looking for price to push back into supply around 61.35 now. So this becomes a healthy area to buy from, as well as this area becomes a healthy area to buy from as well. So with the S&P, I like the longs here. I like the longs here as well. I can see that price is looking fairly corrective right now. So this does tell me that things are running out of energy a little bit. We're running out a bit of steam. And perhaps we could go for a bigger pullback. So Poppy, I do like that kind of 200 moving average coming into play there. Not only are we respecting the prior high, but potentially might respect the 200 as support again. So I think that area around 57.80 or 5800, we could call it. I think that's a very smart level for a buy. Maybe some entries on the 4-hour time frame could look good. It might even line up well with 200 and the 400 as well. But yeah, anywhere between 5800 and 5650, I think is a smart place for a buy, especially if you're looking for a big swing trade. If you're trying to take S&P back to the all-time highs, I think that's where you want to position yourself, to be honest. So yeah, pretty bullish on the S&P. Dow Jones, long term, I think we can push up as well, but I do want to see a bit more retracement there, especially when we're coming from that kind of zone of resistance. Oh, is it on the 100 as well? I haven't looked at it in reference to the 100. Oh, that was the 100. Wait. Have you been saying that? I've been looking at the 100 this whole time. I suppose I have. Wow. Okay, it's not much different. But yeah, I generally thought this whole time I was looking at the 200 moving average. I generally thought I was looking at the 200 moving average there. That is unfortunate because let me see how we're looking compared to the US 30. I mean, to be honest, they're trading in roughly the same place, so the analysis still stands. But yeah, that is a big oopsie daisy on my part there. I thought I was looking at the 200 the whole time, but it was the 100. What's up, Seasoned Graded? Hope you're well. DXY didn't work out as planned. I will new plan. Of course, that's trading for you. Have a plan. It either works or it doesn't. And either which way, even if it does work, new plan afterwards. New setup after that. But of course, you're not here to win every trade. It would be nice if we were to do that, but that's just not the reality of trading. So you're going to lose trades, of course, and profitability can still very much be found, even if you lose more than you win as well. It comes down to your management and how you take your profits. But yeah, not every setup's going to work out. As Poppy said, you can't win them all. But yeah, with the DXY, things are looking quite interesting. We've been pretty bearish, strong move down. What's the plan here for the DXY? Well, I do think we can have a bit of a bounce, but I do think now the bigger move probably still does take us back to support at 97.954. So, yeah, the dollar not looking too good, to be honest. Not looking too good. I think this could be a smart play for a sell, which is 100.4. I feel like price can potentially push to the downside from there onwards. Might see some buys step in from here because naturally it's an area of demand as well. We might see price react from that and continue. And price can rally from that, but I'll be skeptical. And also, guys, I wanted to mention as well, which I did mention yesterday, but I do have a project which is very much coming to light very, very soon, incorporating AI, looking at automated trading and also providing trade signals as well. Very, very excited to announce that. It's not quite here yet, but do keep a close eye on that. Been working on it for the past few months. And the project should come out 2 to 3 weeks from now, but I'll keep you guys more updated, give you more snippets to look at as well. But focus on automated trading, developing your own strategies, developing your own trading bots as well, which you can apply to TradingView and trade on your behalf as well. So do look out for that. Yeah, expecting hopefully a lot of big things with that, especially if you're interested in seeing how AI can be incorporated into trading as well. There's a lot to be looked out for in that project, so keep an eye out for that. Cease integrated, I wait for price action at 99.2. Yeah, I would say that'll be a smart area for a buy as well. 99.2 would basically be the low. Yeah, I would advise that would be a smart place for a buy, because at the end of the day, that's still the low, which did give us a drive to the upside there. So that would still be a smart place for a buy. As I said, I'm no longer expecting the big swing as I was, early in the week, because the plan was, okay, I'm looking for support here to hold for a rally to the upside. That didn't work out. Obviously, price did break to the downside. So I still think we can see a bounce from here, but I'm no longer expecting a push back to the swing high anymore. I'm now looking for a possible pullback of this bearish leg for us to now continue lower. So yeah, now that's kind of my take now for USD. But 99.2 I think is still a smart place for a buy. Of course, we'll see how price reacts, but smart place for an entry and a stop loss below as well. It did give us this big drive higher, so I think it's still a sensible place for a buy. Poppy, I was looking at 104 on the DXY. It's not on the 100 and the 200 MA. I mean, I was looking at 104 as well for a short. I mean, the 200 looks like it might kind of nestle there, but I don't think we'll get this pullback anyway. That was the original plan I had for the DXY, for this bullish structure to continue, push back into 104 on the dollar, and then continue lower. But yeah, unfortunately, that did not happen. Take for Euro USD, sure thing. Venita, hope I'm saying that correctly. So Euro USD looking very, very bullish right now. So in my book, it looks like Euro is likely to rally back to resistance. And by resistance, I mean the high up here. Because what I've been looking at for Euro is basically this this bearish move as a pullback of the longer term bullish move. So I've been looking for a little bit more downside before we do continue. But it looks like we've seen a breakout of that channel, which now kind of reinstates that, okay, things are looking bullish again. We might see now price continue back to highs. At the moment, we are coming to resistance, kind of an area of supply here. So I wouldn't be looking to try and sell, try and buy into that, because this is where sellers will be looking to try their luck to try and push price down. But if price would be kind enough to pull back, there is some healthy support below us. We do have some higher lows here. Potentially could capitalize on the next one in that sequence and potentially ride euro back to highs. Maybe even back to resistance here if you want to play it a little bit more safer. But I do think there's a world where we do push back to the highs there at 1.156. So euro, I mean, if the dollar is going to give us that big sell, and we are going to push back down to the lows here at 97.954, basically 98, you probably will see euro do the opposite and take us back to the highs there as well. So in my book, euro looking very bullish. I feel like we can push back into resistance here. Just looking for a pullback before we do continue. So that's very much the plan there with Euro USD. Yeah, very wishful thinking, Poppy. But again, that's trading for you. Because you don't necessarily know what's going to happen next. Expect the unexpected. Sometimes the wishful setup actually does come to life, and they actually do get a trade for it. Of course, maybe you're more likely not to, but if it does happen, you want to be there ready to take the trade. What's up, Tony Gold? Appreciate everything. I'm taking some time off. Okay, take care, my man. Hope to see you back on the streams soon, though. Yeah, take care. Appreciate it, everything about music. It's not out yet, but hopefully the next few weeks we'll be sharing that project completely with you guys. So do look out for that. But thank you for your congratulations. Everything about music. But yeah, currently only in Aussie yen, but we'll see how that does progress. Not looking too hot right now, but my expectation is weakness for the yen. So really, I need to see this push down if we are going to get that move. I've been discussing for the yen pairs, but looking briefly at the other yen pairs like dollar yen, still looking pretty bearish. It's still a nice place for a buy, but we need to see momentum come in from somewhere if we are going to push higher. Pound yen, that's looking like it's about to bleed as well. If we are going to turn around, we need to see some strength come in pretty quickly for pound. Euro, last time we had a look, was just kind of moving sideways. Pretty much the same situation there as well. I still think Euro's in a nice place. I like how we're consolidating, but we need to kind of see that momentum come into play. I think that's the main thing, really, momentum. We're just not seeing that right now if the yen pairs were very flat or kind of slowly pushing down. If price is going to break to the upside, let's see that happen sooner rather than later, and that will give us the indication that, okay, euro yen can possibly continue. CTF JPY, in fairness, this one has been looking pretty bullish, actually. At least more bullish than the other yen pairs. It's had a really nice rally there. But overall, I mean, I'm not a fan of the price action, to be honest. It's very, very choppy and trading at major resistance. So I'm not necessarily looking to buy it either way, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the yen pairs. I'm keeping an eye on the USD pairs. Any other pairs I'm looking at, I'm liking the idea of shorts and pound Aussie. So keeping an eye on that pair. I do think we can still have a push down. So this is a pair I'll keep an eye on throughout today. Aussie CHF, I do like the longs for this one, but I probably won't take the trade because I'm already long in Aussie yen, and Aussie JPY and Aussie CHF are very similar pairs. So I think I'll just let this one be, but we are coming back into a nice area of demand, which of course gave us the swing to the upside back to the high. So I do think as long as we can respect this, there is an opportunity for Aussie CHF to rally, and I'm still looking at a retest of this massive range here as well. So I think there's upside to be had there with Aussie CHF too. So Aussie CHF buys, pound Aussie short. You can see I'm kind of banking on Aussie strength coming into play, which I do think we can see over the next few days, few weeks. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, true, of course. Antonio, okay, I'll finish off with Euro CHF. So Euro CHF as a whole, pretty bearish market. Just in the overall scope of the market, you can see we are bearish, pushing down. So I do feel like Euro CHF can still drop. In terms of a sell though, you do want it to be back at resistance because this is just basically a range. So you want price to push back into resistance anyway before you can look for a short. So if you can push back into 0.942 roughly, I feel like that'd be a more sensible place for an entry. Stops above the high or even the high there. Then maybe look try and short and catch a push back to the low end of the range, or maybe that daily support level is a very strong support. Potentially could see price push back into that for a target as well. But altogether, it's a very sideways market right now. Yes, overly bearish on the higher time frames, but not a big fan of the price action really with your CHF personally, just because it's quite sideways and we respected support one too many times for my liking. But if I had to trade it, it would be entries up at the high, trying to capitalize on a swing back to the low. And yeah, guys, that does take us to the end of the analysis. If you have found it useful, please be sure to smash the like button. It does really help out. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel as well if you're enjoying the content, want to see more of it. And of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Check out the Discord channel to Elevating Traders, completely free to join. If you're looking for a community, chat with other traders, chat with myself, you can find all of that there and more in the Discord, free to join, links in the description and also at the top of the chat. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in for another stream. I'm live again tomorrow as always, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, want to catch some of the analysis, make sure you pop in, come say hi. But really appreciate everyone tuning in today for today's stream, liking the video and discussing with me. So I really do appreciate that, guys. But have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.